Hi, this is Daniela Wolf with Bestie Life, the podcast, and this is your community to support you through the little and not so little events that make up your day-to-day life. From the I've got this moments to the I just can't moments. We are here to empower all women to find and develop the skills they need to find peace, balance, and the bliss in their busy. Through solo episodes as well as interviews with amazing women who share their journey and their story and how it works for you. I hope you find the inspirations to make you laugh, think, as well as maybe rethink what you thought you knew, and connect as we realize that we are all living similar ups and downs and don't have to do it alone. So excited for you to hear this episode, and thanks so much for joining me today. Daniela with Bestie Life, the podcast, and today we're going to tackle a topic that hits, I'm sure, close to home for many of us, and that is stress. Life can get pretty hectic some days, am I right? And so between work, family, social commitments, and everything else, it's no wonder that stress sometimes feels like our constant little BFF, always hanging around, always there. And so many times we might normalize just living with stress as a part of our day-to-day life. But rather than accepting it or eliminating anything that might be causing stress, because sometimes that's just not realistic, let's look at how to manage it and reframe how you think about it and perceive it so that it affects you in a different way. And so specifically today, we're going to talk about mindset shifts to help you flip that stress switch off and embrace a more relaxed and balanced life and ultimately kind of kick that burnout to the curb. I love talking about the power of mindset. You can check out some of my posts on Instagram from last week on this exact topic, because I always think the way you think affects the way you feel. And when you feel differently, you act differently. So in the show notes, I linked 2 previous podcasts I've done on mindset as well, in case you haven't heard them. One's how unexpected events can make over your mindset. Another one is how your mindset and perspective interact together. And so there's also a blog post on how ways mindset can change your life. So check those out if you want to get some more information on mindset as well. But for right now, grab a cup of your favorite bevy or put on your walking shoes and put in your headphones, which is what I typically do when I listen to podcasts, because we're going to dive right in. So shifting our mindset is essential when it comes to kind of switching off that stress switch, looking at embracing a more positive, relaxed, and balanced life, because our mindset or our way of thinking and perceiving the world and the events that happen to us plays a significant role in how we're going to experience those events and respond to stress. And so there are definitely several reasons why mindset is so crucial. So the first one is our perception of stress. Our mindset's going to influence, again, how we perceive that stress and challenging situations. When we have a positive and growth-oriented mindset, we can view stress as a natural part of life, an opportunity for learning, an opportunity for personal growth. And so that perspective switch can help make stress feel more manageable and less overwhelming. The next one has to do with coping mechanisms. Positive mindset is going to help you develop a more healthier coping kind of toolbox for dealing with stress. So instead of maybe resorting always to some negative habits like overeating, excessive screen time, substance use, a growth mindset is going to encourage you to seek some healthier alternatives, maybe a mindfulness practice, maybe some exercise and movement, or just seeking support from friends and family rather than isolating ourselves during some times of stress. Having a mindset shift is also going to improve our resilience. That's our ability to bounce back after going through tough times. You know, we all go through tough things, but whether you kind of unpack and stay there or come back is going to be affected by your mindset. And so when you, again, cultivate that growth-oriented mindset, you become better equipped to face life challenges, because they're going to happen anyways, help you learn from them and emerge stronger on the other side. Shifting your mindset's also going to help you reduce your negative self-talk, what I like to call the mean girls in your head. Negative mindset often leads to some super harsh criticism. We might talk to ourselves in a way that we would never even talk to our best friends, but shifting that mindset in a more positive way can help you kind of reframe those negative thoughts into something more compassionate, like something you would say to a friend or family member. Reduce that unnecessary stress caused by maybe some self-blame and self-doubt and all those things we might tell ourselves. It's also going to help you start building some positive habits, because when you adopt a positive mindset, it encourages you to build those positive habits that will contribute to your overall well-being. Think of things like, again, movement and exercise regularly, healthy eating, adequate sleep. By doing all these kind of things, it's going to help you manage your stress and prevent burnout, which is ultimately the goal we're going for. It's going to enhance your emotional regulation. And that's kind of how we respond to things that happen to us. When we are in a positive mindset, it can allow us to respond emotionally in a better way rather than reacting off the cuff in a way that maybe we would choose not to. Maybe we might lose our temper and snap in a way if we're not emotionally regulated. And so when you're able to be in a better state and be more aware of your thoughts and feelings, you can approach them in a more rational way, and again, not react in that impulsive manner out of fear or frustration or that type of thing. And I think we've all done that, even being aware of these things. I know I've responded at times out of frustration, out of fear that can look like anger and those types of things. And it's definitely a process to keep working on these things. But as we do so over time, we'll find that then, when things come up, we can take a second, we can take a moment and respond in a more intentional way that's going to help us have less regret down the road. And the last one is mindset shifts our focus away from what we can't control and helps us focus a little bit more on what we can. And so that shift, it empowers us to take maybe more proactive steps to manage our stress more effectively, leading to more of that work-life balance, work-life harmony. Because when we can feel like we have the power to take some steps to manage it instead of feeling helpless, like stress is just going to be there, we can then feel more empowered to do positive things. And so overall, like I said, the power of these mindset shifts, as you can see from the things I listed, is vital in helping you manage your stress and prevent burnout, because all these types of things are going to influence your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. And so by adopting what we like to call a positive or growth-oriented mindset, you can navigate some of life's challenges and ups and downs with some more grace, find greater peace and overall balance and harmony. All right, so now that you can see, hopefully, the benefits of why you want to shift your mindset, let's get started with the mindset shifts you specifically need to make in order to start shutting down that stress. And so the first one is about embracing imperfection. And I don't know about you, but raise your hand if you're a perfectionist like me, because I've definitely been there. And it's tough, right? Because we want to do a good job. We value the quality of our work. We're conscientious of what we're doing, but striving for perfection, it's like chasing a mirage in the desert. It only leads to more stress because it's really not attainable. It is setting ourselves up for that failure. And so instead, by, again, not putting in any effort and completely letting things slide, but cutting ourselves some slack, I believe in grace and embracing our beautifully flawed selves, because trust me, it's super powerful to accept our weaknesses and embrace them as opposed to try and deny them and fight them. So embracing that imperfection, giving yourself grace is going to be that first mindset shift to help you shut down that stress. Now, the second one is about redefining success. We definitely live in a world that often equates success with things like money, power, our achievements. And a lot of times, especially as women, that can just look like always being busy, feeling like we always need to be doing something. And when we redefine success to include things like happiness, balance, and more meaningful connections, looking at, are you spending time with the people you want to on a daily, weekly basis? Are you laughing every day? Did you make time for yourself throughout your day? Re-looking at success from that lens and that standpoint and that new definition will make a world of difference in how you approach life. It'll allow you to let go of some of that busy, to help you find some of that balance and reprioritize really what your focus is each day when you are intentional about including those types of things. So that second mindset shift, again, is about redefining success and how you incorporate that into each day. All right, so the third mindset shift we're going to talk about is flipping the script. And that's a little bit of what I spoke about just a couple minutes ago when it came to those negative thoughts that pop up when things get tough in our head. Thinking, I can't do this, I can't handle that, I've never been good enough. Let's flip the script on that. And so instead of thinking those thoughts, and it may feel weird at first, it doesn't always come naturally because those thoughts might be kind of already pretty well ingrained into our brains and things like that. So we're looking to rewire our brain for a more positive statement, to tell ourselves a different narrative. We're creating new neural pathways. And so this is definitely something that's going to take a little bit of time and a practice. I always like to think of it, it's like you're taking a hike in the woods and there's a trail that everyone's been walking down for years, but you're going to be starting a new trail. And so it's going to take some practice and some repetition of going over and repeating these new statements to help make it a well-worn path for your brain to easily travel down when things get challenged. Like for me, I think of one right now in summer. One that comes up might be about being comfortable in a bathing suit and changing what I tell myself about being outside in a bathing suit without a cover up, without things on, so that I am not being as negative and just showing up and having fun and being present. So flipping the script of those things that you tell yourself is going to make a big difference in helping to relieve some of the stress around different situations. The next one is about focusing on what you can control. I don't know about you, but there can be so much time and energy that I know I've wasted on things that were clearly outside of my control. And as we both know, you can't control everything. You think of things like the weather, traffic, other people's actions and reactions. You really can't control any of them. And if we focus on that part, we're again setting ourselves up for frustration and negativity by not only processing our own feelings, but feeling responsible for other things as well. But focusing on what you can control, which is your reactions and choices, is going to allow you to keep your focus on those positive things, or that growth mindset part that we talked about, to help you feel more empowered and less stressed. So say like when you're sitting in traffic, which again, you can't change, you're going to be sitting there and it's really easy to get frustrated, to focus on maybe the delay or just the lack of progress that you're making. Maybe to try and rethink and see it as an unexpected gift of downtime, to maybe do some deep breathing, shoulder shrugs, relax, call and connect with a friend. Because you can't change the situation, you can focus inward and change the way you're going to think about it and change the way you're going to respond to it. So really, again, these things that all take some practice, but when you intentionally take the time to focus on them, it's going to help you in each situation respond in a better way. Next one is about embracing change, because as we all know, change is inevitable. It's the only constant in life. And yet so many times we resist it, which can lead to a lot of unnecessary stress. So instead, find ways to be open to change, whether it's a new job, a move, other people, your relationships with them, even just changing routines. By being open to them and helping to embrace them can help you to grow and adapt. And so ways to do this sometimes is to intentionally change something up. Maybe take a different route to work, go shop at a different grocery store. By challenging yourself to change and do things a little bit differently more often, because a lot of times we can get stuck in the same ruts and routines, it's going to help kind of that neuroplasticity and your ability to cope and handle change when you experience it on a more regular basis. I know I'm going through a lot of information and a lot of kind of strategies for you to try. Definitely come back, re-listen to this episode if you need to, take some notes, because I think by having just some clear steps in each of these areas, it's going to help you when it comes to making those mindset shifts and changing your relationship with stress. The next one has to do with practicing self-compassion, or again, like I've said before, giving yourself some grace, cutting yourself some slack. Talk to yourself like you would your best friend. And so instead of being our harshest critics, changing that so that you're treating yourself with the same kindness that you would a loved one who's going through a tough time. So that one's a little bit shorter. Hopefully it's a little bit easier to implement. And again, these all tie together if you look at them. But again, these little steps can make a huge, huge difference. Talking about little steps, the next mindset shift has to do with finding the joy in small things, which if you're a regular listener of the podcast, know I always ask my guests about what they're grateful for, because I believe that gratitude can be so powerful, not only in changing the way we think, but the way we experience each day. And it doesn't have to be large, big events, because life is a series of moments, both big and small. And so while we might always focus on the big milestones and forget to appreciate those small joys, like maybe savoring a warm cup of tea, watching a beautiful sunset, or laughing with a friend, by paying attention to those little pockets of joy throughout our day, they increase your overall life happiness and make your life so much richer. Thanks so much for hanging with me. We've got 2 more mindset shifts. And you don't have to implement all of these all at once. That's way too massive and overwhelming, but I give you some different options. I wanted to list all of these in a way that hopefully you could find 1 or 2 that maybe resonate with you, that feel like, yes, that's the area I want to start focusing on and start changing, because it's not about taking all of these and trying to massively shift your life. That's another stress if you tried to do that. But looking for one that you really want to focus on, that you really want to be intentional with. And talking about that, this next mindset shift is all about practicing your mindfulness. And I love mindfulness because it's about being present in the moment and accepting where you are right now without judgment, without expectation of what's next. A quote that I love, that I wish I knew who said it, is that you can't take a past breath and you can't take a future breath. You can only take a current breath. And that's why I think, just that simple act of breathing and paying attention to it can help you shift into a state of mindfulness pretty quickly. And it creates that space for you to respond more thoughtfully to different stressors, again, rather than reacting impulsively. And so this can also help you address anxiety, which can come from worrying about the future, or regret, which comes from overthinking the past. All right, and this last mindset shift is one of my faves. It's all about prioritizing self-care, which if you've listened to me at all, I love to share that it's not selfish. It's not something you should feel guilty for taking the time to practice. It's essential. Self-care is as necessary as brushing your teeth and eating, washing your face. I know there's a quote, might sound pretty cliche, that you can't pour from an empty cup, but when it really comes to self-care, it's all about being able to take care of yourself so that you can give back to everybody else. Changing the perception, just even what is self-care, that it's not just spa days and massages, and while those are great, that's just one piece of it. Self-care is about how you feel. It's about doing things that make you feel good about yourself. And so it can include things like how you sleep, how you move, how you think about money, how you dress, how you decorate and organize your home, how you connect with others, how you eat, as well as some of the traditional, meditating, journaling, personal development type stuff. And so doing, hobbies, things that really light you up, that's what's going to recharge you, whether it's talking to a friend, or sometimes you might need that quiet time. Being out in nature, doing those things that make you feel good about yourself, that help you recharge, is such a big part about self-care as well. And so making time for self-care several times throughout your day, and they don't have to be huge, massive blocks of time. 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, can have massive, massive benefits. And if you want to learn more about rethinking your self-care, I've also linked some previous podcast episodes that I've done, such as 4 things you didn't realize maybe needed to be part of your self-care, tips to prioritizing your self-care, and why self-care matters, as well as there's a blog post on super simple self-care strategies and ways to prioritize your self-care. So all those are linked in the show notes to really help you dive in and focus on that self-care part, so you can start taking care of yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally. And that ties back into all of these mindset shifts. So whether it's yoga, a hobby you love, time with friends, or simply a good old nap, go for it, because you definitely deserve it. And if nobody's told you that, I'm telling you that right now. Well, that was a jam-packed episode. I know I covered a lot. Again, like I said, you might want to come back, re-listen to it with some paper and a pen so you can take some quick notes, jot down maybe an area you want to dive in a little bit deeper into. go back to some of those other podcast notes and blog episodes that I referenced so that hopefully one of these mindset shifts resonated with you as much as they do with me. Remember, it takes one small step at a time. So just pick one, maybe spread them out. There were 9 different ones. So you can look at even one a month and then give yourself time to build on each one. My mom always used to say, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is this. That's why they call it a practice. And so changing your mindset won't be an overnight thing. It's not a one and done, but with practice, you'll find gradually that you'll be handling stress better, handling situations that maybe in the past you might have responded impulsively to, that now you can take a moment and be more intentional with. And overall, it's going to help you keep that burnout at bay and be able to live the life that you want to. Now, if this sounds like a lot to you and the idea of working on your mindset on your own can feel a little overwhelming, or maybe you feel like you need some structure and accountability, this is exactly what I help clients with in 2 ways. One is through a mini coaching package. We can focus solely on your mindset as far as defining what areas to maybe give you some structure in and some actionable steps to help you begin to make those oh so important shifts. And the next is in my bigger Exhausted to Empowered formula program, where we not only start with your mindset and begin addressing that, but then also look at your time as well as your self-care and really help you come up with not only the mindset shifts you need to make, but then creating this space in your day, creating the schedule of habits and routines to begin developing in different areas. So you can start not only just taking the things you've heard today and take action on them, but build them into that larger piece of redefining, recreating your days overall. So I hope you got some great information today, but if you want some extra help, you can click on the link in my bio to either go to my Work With Me page, or we can hop on a call and see maybe which program would be a better fit for you, because I definitely want you to get what you're going to need in order to begin making that transformation. I can't wait to hear what step you chose to take. Let me know in the comments, and I look forward to talking with you soon. Thanks so much again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know any questions or comments that you have. Also, if you can please leave an Apple 5-star review so that this episode can be shared with more women. There's 2 quotes that I love. Alone we may be strong, but together we are stronger, as well as when women support each other, incredible things happen. So let's be stronger and incredible together, as well as maybe just have some fun along the way. Thanks so much and talk to you soon. Bye.